Okay, imagine this. What if your freedom, your land, your entire future all came down to a single game? And what if it was a game you'd never even played before? Well, that's the wild premise of Lagaan, a film that's so much more than a sports movie. It's really about a nation's spirit all told through one impossible bet.
This quote from the cultural theorist Ashish Nandy, it absolutely hits the nail on the head for what we're talking about today. The 2001 film Lagaan basically takes this idea and runs with it, turning the colonizers' own game into this nearly 4-hour epic of resistance, identity, and, well, ultimately, independence. So let's dive into the story. At its heart, it's a classic underdog tale, but it's one where the stakes could not possibly be higher. The film drops us right into the fictional village of Champaner in colonial India, and things are bad. The people are really suffering. A massive drought has wiped out their harvest for the second year straight, but the British rulers are still demanding a double land tax, the Lagaan. They are staring down total ruin.
And this is where the wager comes in. The cruel Captain Andrew Russell proposes this deal. He says if the villagers can pull together a team and beat his experienced officers in a game of cricket, a game they know nothing about, he'll cancel the tax for the entire province for 3 whole years. But if they lose, the tax will be tripled. It's an insane, cruel challenge, but it's one that a defiant young farmer named Bhuvan accepts.
Now here's the really incredible part. The huge struggle we see on screen, it was completely mirrored by the struggle just to get the film made in the first place. The production itself turned into its own high-stakes wager.
For starters, the film had a budget of 250 million rupees. At the time, that made it the most expensive Indian film ever made. For the actor Aamir Khan, who ended up producing it himself after everyone else passed, this was a massive, massive gamble.
And the challenges just kept piling up. Aamir Khan himself wasn't even sure about it at first. So many producers rejected the script. The lead actress role, it was turned down by several big stars before newcomer Gracie Singh was cast. The crew had to deal with just brutal weather, with temperatures swinging from freezing to 50 degrees Celsius. And then, right in the middle of it all, the director, Ashutosh Gowariker, gets a slip disc and has to direct from a bed right next to the monitor. Seriously, it was a case of art imitating life.
But here's the crucial thing to understand. This film was never just about a cricket match. The game is a really powerful lens to tell a much, much bigger story about India itself.
The film is just this brilliant allegory where almost every moment has a deeper meaning. That 3-day cricket match? It's not just a game. It becomes a stand-in for the entire Indian independence struggle, a non-violent battle for freedom fought on the colonizers' own turf.
And to really get why this is so powerful, you have to look at who the heroes are. There's this academic term, subaltern, for people who are outside the main power structures. And that's exactly who these villagers are. Lagaan gives a voice to the marginalized. We're not talking about elite freedom fighters here. We're talking about farmers, a blacksmith, even an untouchable spinner named Katra, all coming together to fight the system. And this whole process shows you how resistance can work in such clever ways. The villagers literally take the master's tool, cricket, and completely make it their own. They go from mocking it, to adopting it, to totally mastering it on their own terms. The game gets flipped, right? It goes from being a symbol of colonial power to a pure expression of Indian pride.
Now, a powerful story like this is bound to spark some debate. And it did, raising a really fascinating question. Is Lagaan an accurate picture of history, or is it a simplified but very powerful myth?
So, on one hand, the film gives us this beautiful picture of unity. You see people from all castes and religions banding together, and the local king, the Raja, is shown as sympathetic, just helpless against the British. The conflict is a pretty simple us versus them. But historically, the reality was way more complex. You had deep social divisions, and a lot of local rulers were actually working with the British.
So you have scholars like historian Boria Majumdar, who argues the film actually captures a kind of lost history. He suggests that cricket really did become this level playing field where Indians could assert themselves, making a win on the pitch feel like a national victory.
But then you have the counterpoint from critics like Nissim Manathukaran. He argues that by completely ignoring the role of Indian oppressors like the Raja, the film boils the whole struggle down to a simple us versus them, which, while powerful, creates a kind of flattened nationalist myth.
But, you know, whether you see it as history or myth, one thing is absolutely certain. The film's fictional victory on that cricket pitch led to a very, very real and groundbreaking victory for Indian cinema on the global stage. I mean, this was huge. The film did something only 2 Indian films before it had ever done. It got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. This was just a monumental moment, putting a mainstream Bollywood movie in the international spotlight like never before.
And that Oscar nomination? That was just the tip of the iceberg. Lagaan just swept almost every major Indian awards ceremony. We're talking Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, you name it. It also won audience awards at film festivals all over the world, from Switzerland to the US, proving that its story resonated with people absolutely everywhere.
So in the end, the villagers of Chapaner played a game for their future, and the filmmakers behind Lagaan took a very similar risk and created a story that became a global phenomenon. It really leaves you with a fascinating thought. A film about a fictional game can achieve a very real, historic victory, completely changing how the world sees an entire nation's cinema.